Tiny predators that trap their prey inside their own bodies, animals that survive without oxygen, and mammals so rare they might as well be ghosts. These are creatures discovered that didn't fit in any category. Ancoracysta Twista is a microscopic predator that doesn't neatly fit anywhere on the tree of life. It's tiny. You'd need a microscope to see it. It was first discovered in a water sample from a tropical coral in San Diego Aquarium. What makes it really weird is how it lives. It hunts other tiny creatures by basically trapping them with a special structure inside its body. When scientists looked at its DNA, they realized it didn't belong to any group that we already know. It's not a plant, not an animal, not a fungus. It's something completely different. Its genes are so unique that researchers had to put it in its own branch of the family tree of life. That means it split off from other life forms a really long time ago and has been doing its own thing ever since. Even its energy systems are unusual. The part of the cell that produces energy has way more genes than almost any other cell we know. Up next, we have a weird little creature called Spinoloricus cinziae. Sounds like a dinosaur, but this is a tiny animal that lives in one of the strangest environments you can imagine. The deep, oxygen-free mud at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. Most animals, of course, need oxygen to survive, but this species doesn't. It spends its entire life in a place where oxygen just doesn't exist. Researchers first described it in 2014 after collecting samples from the basin. When they looked at the mud under microscopes, they found this creature and a few close relatives actively moving and feeding, so these creatures were surviving completely without oxygen. That's pretty much unheard of. Inside their cells, these animals are built differently from almost every other animal. The parts of the cell that normally use oxygen to make energy are adapted to work without it, so they can live in conditions that would be fatal to nearly all other forms of life. In 1992, biologists from a joint French-Vietnamese team were surveying wildlife when locals brought them two strange skulls with these long, straight horns. The villagers had found them while hunting and brought them over. When the team looked closely, they noticed the skulls didn't match any known antelope, cow, or similar animal. The horns, the shape of the skull, the markings, everything was different. This was some unknown type of large mammal. They named it the Saola, sometimes called the Vu-Kang ox. Both males and females have those straight horns, and they have these distinctive white marks on their faces. Even after the discovery, spotting a live Saola is incredibly rare. Most of what scientists know come from camera traps or rare sightings from the 90s and early 2000s. They're critically endangered, said to be fewer than 100 left in the wild, and they're so elusive that they're basically one of the rarest mammals on Earth. Way back when dinosaurs were still roaming the planet, long before humans ever showed up, ants were already part of the ecosystem, but they didn't look like ants we see today. In 2025, scientists revealed they'd identified the oldest ant fossil ever found. And it's pretty different from what most people picture when they think of ants. This fossil comes from a rock formation in northeastern Brazil. It's about 113 million years old, older than any ant fossil ever found. The ant belongs to a group researchers call hell ants because of their strange jaws and odd look. This particular species had scythe-like mouth parts that pointed forward, so instead of opening side to side like modern ants, its jaws moved up and down, a very different way of catching and holding on to prey. Another thing that sets it apart is that it probably had wings and a stinger like a wasp, so it probably hunted differently than the ants we see today. About 95 million years ago, long before humans or even most of the dinosaurs you'd heard of were around, there was a small croc-like animal walking around what is now southwest Montana. Paleontologists first discovered it in the summer of 2021, when a student named Harrison Allen spotted something sticking out of a rock in an area called the Blackleaf Formation. It turned out to be a fossil no bigger than the tip of his pinky finger. When he showed it to his professor, they realized he'd found the skull of a juvenile croc relative that had never been seen before. The little creature was nicknamed Elton, partly because the team listened to Elton John's song Crocodile Rock when they worked. But its scientific name is whatever the hell this is. Let me try. Whatever. Elton's skull was only about 2 inches long, and the whole animal is roughly 2 feet from nose to tail as a youngster. Even as an adult, though, researchers think it wouldn't have grown past 3 feet. tiny compared with most of its crocodile relatives that were around at the time. What really makes this creature stand out isn't just that size though, its teeth were this mix of different shapes instead of the usual simple ones you see in modern crocs. Its bones suggest it lived on land, not in rivers or swamps. So that mix of features didn't match anything scientists had seen before. So when they analyzed the fossil, they realized Elton belonged to an unknown branch of croc relatives that lived in North America during the Cretaceous. Deep off the coast of northwest Australia, researchers recently discovered this small, unusual octopus that lives in the deep ocean, thousands of meters below the surface. It's called the Carnarvon Flapjack octopus. It's tiny, only about 4 centimeters across. Unlike the octopuses most people are familiar with, its body is soft and gelatinous, and it has large fins above its eyes that help it move slowly through near total darkness. This octopus has a pancake-like shape, which is of course how it got the nickname Flapjack. It can flatten itself to glide along the seafloor or curl into a little umbrella as it drifts with the currents. It's perfectly adapted to life in the midnight zone, hunting tiny worms and crustaceans in almost complete darkness. In 1998, hunters in Laos brought a strange rodent to biologists. It looked unfamiliar, like nothing else in Southeast Asia. When scientists studied it, they realized it wasn't just a new species or even a new genus. It belonged to a lineage of rodents thought to have disappeared around 11 million years ago. This creature, later named the Laotian Rock Rat, turned out to be the living representative of a group of rodents that fossils showed had been around way back in the Miocene, so tens of millions of years ago. Before this discovery, Western science assumed that that entire branch had gone extinct long ago. Instead, it had been surviving in remote forests in Laos completely unnoticed. Back in the summer of 2020, a group of researchers exploring reptiles in the mountains of northern India came across a few brown snakes lying out on a mud road in Himachal Pradesh. Scientists took a closer look at their DNA and realized these were something completely new to science. This new serpent grows to about 22 inches long, and it's noticed by its copper brown color and this faint band around its neck that almost looks like a collar. It has a short head with fairly large nostrils and lots of teeth, which set it apart from similar snakes in the area. Researchers have since found this species in other parts of the region too, and even parts of Nepal. Back in 2000, researchers from the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute were exploring waters off the California coast with a remote-controlled submersible when they started seeing an odd, transparent creature drifting in the water. They were exploring the Midnight Zone, which is the open water hundreds to thousands of meters down where almost no light reaches. Scientists didn't know what to make of this thing, so they just called it the mystery mollusk. For more than 2 decades, their cameras spotted this thing again and again, more than 150 individual sightings. But it took until 2024 for the team to officially describe it as a new species and give it a name, Bathydevius caudactylus. It's not just a new species, it's so different from known sea slugs that it gets its own family. It has a big flexible hood at one end and a flat tail with finger-like thingies at the other end. Instead of crawling on the seafloor like most sea slugs, this one swims freely in the water by flexing its whole body up and down. It doesn't sink or float on its own, it sort of just hangs in the water, moving slowly or drifting with the currents. It uses that hood like a trap to catch small shrimp-like animals, and strange as it sounds, it also glows. Bits of its body can light up, and it can even drop glowing little pieces of its tail to distract something that might be trying to eat it. Incertasquilla Chimera is a recently discovered mantis shrimp. It stands out because it doesn't fit neatly into any of the categories scientists normally use for these animals. Mantis shrimp are marine crustaceans. They're not true shrimp like the ones you eat, but they are shrimp-like and known for being fierce little hunters in the ocean. What's unusual about this one, though, is that when researchers looked at it, they realized its combination of features didn't match any known family of mantis shrimp. That's why they had to create this new genus just for it. The first specimen of this species was collected in 2008 off the coast of Western Australia. Since then, more have been found near Japan, showing it lives across a wide stretch of the Indo-Pacific. It's about 3.5 inches long, has striped coloring, and even has false eye spots on its tail that probably help scare off predators. Its claws can unfold extremely fast to catch prey like small fish, and its eyes are very complex, helping it track movement really well. And scientists named it Chimera because of the mix of traits. It makes it look like a blend of things normally seen in several different mantis shrimp groups. That mix is exactly why it didn't fit where anything else fit, so it had to be placed in its own new category. With all that said, that has been the video for today. I'll catch you, yes, you specifically, next time.